Moving on up towards the Jeep side. See what I did there? You join me inside the 22 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. Quick bit of history for you on the Wagoneer. It was introduced in 1963 and carries the title of longest single generation vehicle in U.S. history. It ended production in '91 with minimal changes in that time. And the Wagoneer really established the luxury 4x4 segment even before the Range Rover, with derivatives like the Super Wagoneer in '66, the Wagoneer Limited in '79, and then the Grand Wagoneer in '84. It did end production along with its wood panel sides in '91 and then was replaced years later with the Commander, which, well, it sucked, and ended production in 2010. That left a gap. The Jeep is now filling once again with the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. So in this in-depth review of its exterior, interior, and driving dynamics, we're going to see whether the Grand Wagoneer can really hack it with luxury full-sizers in this day and age like the Cadillac Escalade. That's today on Miles Per Hour. And there it is, the 22 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. This one is painted in velvet red pearl coat. For an extra $600, you get this sumptuous shade of red with that glistening metallic flake. This color goes great with the wood and interior contrast stitch accents we'll get to momentarily. But first, I want to take a quick sec to thank the sponsor of today's video, Imagine Autos. They've established a platform delivering a high-quality, video-centric car purchasing experience. So when you go to imagineautos.com, they're linked in the description below, or download their app, you'll step into interactive video spotlights from their walkarounds, yes, walkarounds like I'm doing at this very moment, of the exact car you're looking to buy. So let's say you want to see what condition the tires are in. Looking good. Well, you hit the tire icon in the upper right-hand corner of the video, and we'll jump ahead to show you the tires. It's just super intuitive. And the visuals are clutch. Imagine Autos is creating a better car shopping experience with real video, including in-app features like augmented reality vehicle assessment, where you can see the car you're looking at in your own driveway or out on the road. It's pretty cool. So guys, go to imagineautos.com or download their app to check out their car selection. And back to the Grand Wagoneer. And this is the Series 3. This is the range topper of the already range topping Grand Wagoneer. So we're gonna get things like this satin chrome detailing around the grille. You got Wagoneer spelled out above the 7-slot Jeep grille. Now, I say Jeep, but guys, Jeep isn't listed or shown or nameplated anywhere on this vehicle. And I think that's because they're really trying to establish the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer as a cut above, sort of akin to Escalade, almost being independent of Cadillac as in this cultural known thing. Just my thought. You get LED daytime running lights and projector LED headlights as standard on the Grand Wagoneer. Down here we've got LED fog lights, more of that satin chrome treatment. This one has the heavy duty trailer tow package. This vehicle can tow almost 10,000 pounds. And with that, you get these chrome tow hooks, looking beefy, because red tow hooks would look kind of weird, right, on a luxury SUV. There are some active grille shutters in here to optimize aerodynamics, get some functional airflow into that 6.4 liter V8. Moving around to the side, as standard, the Grand Wagoneer gets 20-inch wheels, but this Series 3 gets these 22-inch machine polished wheels. I think they look quite good. And they also have these black noise pockets, so they help reduce the road noise from the wheel design. I think that's neat. And in there we've got Wagoneer that I wish was always upright, but spins as the wheel does. And they're wrapped in Eagle Touring all-season tires, 285 section, front and rear. On the side here we've got Grand Wagoneer with a sort of bronze backing to it and an American flag. And that's on both sides of the vehicle. Up here, we've got body color matching. Body color matching? Body? I don't know what that was. Body color matching door mirrors. And your turn signals are integrated there with black gloss. Oh my gosh, it does have Jeep on it. Right there. That's, I think, the only Jeep on the whole SUV. chrome treatment around the windows, and then standard roof rails on the Wagoneer. Crossbars are on the Series 3. They're hidden on this one back there, never unwrapped behind the, or underneath the floor. I'll show you those later. I'll also show you the deploying side steps a bit later. Now this, at this very moment, the Grand Wagoneer is in its access height, but with its air suspension system, it can raise up 3.6 inches into an off-road height, giving it over 10 inches of ground clearance. So right now it looks very much like a wagon. And I think helping that are the big windows, and that's classic Grand Wagoneer stuff. But I think the integration of the roundedness at the corners and then the straight cut on the top looks a little funky for me, personally. Getting to the back, more chrome around the back glass. Grand Wagoneer spelled out in large letters on the trunk, tailgate rather. Your taillights are down here and you have LEDs above. Now, one interesting thing of note is that typically on modern SUVs, we're seeing a lot of the connected bars across the trunk. They don't have that here. We just have the left and right sides defined. In here also, this looks like just one piece of gloss black, but if you look inside, there's this pocketed meshing design that you can see when the light hits it, and I do appreciate those details. Series 3 badging down below, more of that satin chrome treatment and black gloss. Take that cap off and you'll access the hitch. I dig the front and back for sure. The profile, you just have to appreciate the Grand Wagoneer's history, I suppose, when eyeballing it. It looks stately. It looks like a cut above your typical Jeep, that's for sure. But let me tell you, guys, when we get to this interior, you're really gonna see a cut above. On our way in, we'll see smart keyless entry, so you can leave the key in your pocket, pull on the door handle to unlock it, put your finger on those ridges right there to lock it. There are 7 ridges for the 7-slot Jeep grille. Several other Easter eggs like that on the Grand Wagoneer. We've got a couple in the grille, one on the tailgate, and then a few more on the interior. The Grand Wagoneer comes standard with front and rear smart keyless entry, which we call maximum convenience. And for maximum plus convenience, when you open up a door, front or rear, it deploys a side step, a big side step, almost as big as the Maybach GLS side step that was like a royal red carpet. I could fit my foot almost completely like horizontal on it. And at access height, the side step's probably unnecessary in the Grand Wagoneer, but when the air suspension is raised up, could really come in handy for kiddos. Looking inside at this Grand Wagoneer interior, it is stunning. Now, this is the global black leather color. You get Napa leather as standard in the Grand Wagoneer, but the Series 3 upgrades to Palmero leather. And let me tell you guys, this leather feels phenomenal. I would honestly put it on par with the leather feel, not necessarily the sourcing, but the leather feel of that Bentley Flying Spur I was just in. And yeah, to say Jeep and Bentley in the same sentence is kind of crazy, but that's how good this leather feels. I like the details on it. But yeah, in black, it kind of subdues some of the pizzazz. But with all of these bronze stitch accents and silver piping and that gorgeous natural wood grain trim, it's beautiful. It's just, it feels silky. It looks like candy. I just want to eat it. I know it shouldn't. And then all the screens that we'll have to show you, it just wow factor to this cabin for sure. And the material quality is excellent. You got leather up here on the door, that wood grain trim, aluminum here, the bronze stitched accents, leather for this armrest, moving down into some satin chrome and gloss black for the Macintosh, which is not illuminated right now, but it does illuminate green. 19 speaker sound system is standard in the Grand Wagoneer. This one has the upgraded 23 speaker, 1375 watt sound system. I want to put the sound quality on par with that Cadillac AKG reference sound system. Very, very good. On the door panels, this isn't injection molded or even plastic. It is this leatherette covering, which feels good. Some hard plastics on the inside that you're not really going to touch. More leatherette down here below the steering wheel. And leather on this bottom portion of the seat covering with a illuminated Grand Wagoneer and a satin chrome treatment on the outside. Wagoneer for your door sills. thicker pile carpeting. No aluminum plating for your pedals. Up here, there's leather on the dash, feels so good with more of that contrast stitch. And you get Series 3 plaques on the seat backs. Tri-pane sunroof is standard on the Grand Wagoneer as well, as is this suede headliner. Stepping up and in now. I could have used the leather-wrapped stitched grab handle. I chose not to. I'll close up this door. Where we'll find all our seat controls are here. 24-way, power adjustable, heated, ventilated, and massaging seats in the front are standard on the Grand Wagoneer. And boy, are they comfortable. Very nice bolstering. So good. And then we'll just put it in accessory mode. See this cool Grand Wagoneer design on the 12.3-inch gauge cluster. 12-inch touchscreen infotainment running Sync 5. I'm thinking Ford. Uconnect 5. There's another screen down here for just your seat controls. You can just choose from these 5 different massage options or change up your climate. And then you get another 10.3-inch passenger display. So both 10.3, this and that. And that one really only shows up if you're sitting in the passenger seat. The orientation of the screen is such that it's not going to distract the driver. There are even more screens and displays on hand in the Grand Wagoneer, like a digital rearview mirror that cuts through the passengers and cargo that would otherwise disrupt your view out the back. And if you don't have passengers in the third or second row, you can fold down those headrests real easy so you can use your own eyeballs. Imagine that. And making that even easier is the fact that these giant windows give you genuine visibility, and smaller C and D pillars, which are not usually the case in large SUVs like this, means you don't have to rely on the blind spot monitoring that is, of course, standard in the Grand Wagoneer. You also have a head-up display as standard. Very useful to keep your eyes up on the road. And now going through the 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, I love this one, night vision. Very useful if you live in a place where you have wildlife crossing. Here, the only wildlife we have are vehicles in parking lots. And then you have your speedometer and tachometer there. I won't go through all these different displays, but you do have a full map view. If you want to see all the different views, including all your off-road pages and all that stuff, then watch my walk-around video where I go super in-depth and I don't talk at you for 40 minutes at a time. The steering wheel, the 2-spoke design, is a nod to the original 2-spoke design of the Grand Wagoneer. I love the wood paneling on the actual wheel. The gloss black does smudge, of course. Here we're going to find all our assistance features. We do have adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist, lane departure warning, auto emergency braking, all standard in the Grand Wagoneer. Manual transmission operation happens via these buttons in lieu of paddles. So then on the back of the wheel, we find buttons and toggles to control your media settings. The turn signal stock in a hard plastic housing here off to the left, showing the turn signals themselves way off to the left and right, along with your one-touch operation, your wiper settings here in their own housing off to the right, and then your power steering wheel controls via this nub. The tilt happens quickly. The telescope, it takes a while. Your start-stop button has its own pod here off to the right with a leather housing, contrast stitching, and knurled finishes top and bottom, baked within the wood panel that stretches across the dashboard. Grand Wagoneer spelled out in shining letters on the passenger side. Gloss black surrounding the screens. And above the wood panel, you've got this bronze tinge for some of the air vent controls. And the 12-inch Uconnect 5 system is excellent. It has a few moments where it's a bit sluggish, but for the most part, very user-friendly layout and quick to respond. You can pull up your surround view camera system as an example with narrow and wide views along with that overhead view for the front and rear, including a full screen rear view in case you need 12 inches of backup support. There is parking assistance in the Series 3 of the Grand Wagoneer. You can reconfigure your home screen with different widgets, including pulling up some off-road settings. Comfort controls here. Some are redundancies to this secondary screen down there. Your navigation is quick to respond. easy to move around, and the graphics are sharp. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I won't show you those. I'll show you a clip of them because I'm using my phone right now. Off-road pages launch much faster than in the Uconnect 4. Remember, this took like a full 30 seconds to boot up before. Now it's much, much faster. Accessory gauges, pitch and roll, which of the terrain control settings you're using: rock, snow, sand, mud, auto, sport, and then the height of your air suspension system. We've got 2 feet of water fording capability with the air suspension raised up to its full height. And you can pull up the standard ambient light settings. You've got 5 different colors, and you can have them synced for the top and bottom zones, or choose independently, having the different zones in different colors. So that is your Uconnect 5 system. I wanted to show you a couple other quick things. You've got a FAM cam view where you can zone in on the second and third row and even isolate individual seats. You're going to get timeout, and you're going to get timeout, and you're going to get timeout. And then you can even talk to them with the voice setting, which will carry your voice through the speakers more easily to the second and third row. Button redundancies down here for climate controls. And this screen, should you not be using it, you can pull it out of the way, revealing a secret compartment with a wireless charging pad and 6 USB ports, plus HDMI, plus DC socket. I counted well over 20 ways to charge your devices throughout the Grand Wagoneer. It's just mental. Rubberized molds here hold your accessories, and this is a great spot to store some valuables if you're getting out of the vehicle. If anyone doesn't know about this button, then your goods will be safe. To the right of that, we've got an auto hold button. Take your foot off the brake, it'll stay stationary. Lane keep assist, turning that on and off. Traction control, your hazards, parking assistance for parallel or perpendicular spots, parking sensors, your tow haul mode, and this turns on and off that passenger display, which once again, you couldn't tell as a driver it's on. Go to the passenger side, it is indeed on. Knurled toggle here for working through your terrain settings. Your genuine 2-speed transfer case, turn that on and off here, going into neutral, and then pressing and holding. On the right side, we've got your off-road cruise control setting, and then a knurled toggle for your 5 different heights of air suspension, in addition to the auto setting that when you're like at freeway speeds, it'll automatically lower the vehicle for better aerodynamics. This is an aluminum housing for your gear selection. Feels so good in the hands. Just love doing that little ASMR for you. Moving back, we've got this wood panel over your 2 cup holders, which have their own rubberized molds to hold those drinks in place. A slot for your smartphone. There's a slider on top for a shallow cubby. 2 more USB ports, of course. See the Grand Wagoneer key, which again doesn't say Jeep, it says Grand Wagoneer. A textured plastic backing, chrome borders, nice heft in the hand, lock and unlock, remote start. You can lower the air suspension from here for access height and open up your tailgate from there. Panic button is there. Open up, which takes the 2 armrests with it to reveal your cool box. That's a Series 3 feature. Cool down your beverages for time at the beach or on your camping trip. On the passenger side, there is a shallow glove box, and this is all in leatherette. Looking up, we've got LED illumination for the cabin, and your trunk release is here. Just press it to open that on up. And when it's open, you can press it again to close it. Then we have our open and close of the sunroof and sunshade, and then you can tilt it. And the sunroof does open all the way back with the second press. You've got a wind baffle there. Give it one more press, and it goes all the way back. Nice size opening there. This is your old school passenger view system. And then all the way down, it's a sunglass holder. The suede headliner goes all the way down into the sun visors. LED illuminated mirrors there. And it does slide almost all the way back. I mean, pretty much all the way back to cover up that window from sun. And it's nice and tall. And then let's go on into the second row of seats. And as we do that, I'll show you a couple Easter eggs here. We've got established 1963 with the insignia of the Grand Wagoneer. And then down low, we see the 586, which is the area code for Warren, Michigan, where the Grand Wagoneer is produced. Moving into the second row, where we find the same Palermo leather seats and beautifully stitched inserts, just like the front. This second row is heated as standard, ventilated with that Series 3. This 10.3-inch display shows your standard 4-zone climate control system. These two 10.1-inch displays are optional, part of the rear seat entertainment group. See things like Netflix on the go. Rear sunshades, part of the Series 3. The door panels are just as nice as the front with leather and wood. Bit of gloss black here around your window and lock controls. One touch up and down windows. And man, they're quick. And there is a laminate on both the front and back glass to hush the cabin volume, along with an acoustic windshield. Leather all over the seat backs with that contrast stitching, and a leather wrapped contrast stitched grab handle. To fold down the second row seats, just pull up on this lever and they do go flat. If you want to access the third row, just hit this one button here and it power tilts forward. You can also assist it a little bit for easier access to that third row, where we see the same perforations and stitching details. Easy to walk on back. And then I've set up this seat to be where I would have it as a 6-footer behind another 6-footer. So we can see there's plenty of room for a full-size adult in the third row. Knee room's great. Foot pockets are big. Slide my feet under. Headroom is, well, it's adequate. It's enough for a full-size adult back here. Air vents, power rear seat controls. So I can angle back the seat. So I'm really lounging now. And then we have 2 USB ports on either side, along with a cup holder and storage. What more could you ask for in the third row? Oh, how about a sunroof? Yeah, we got that too. Manual shade cover, but you got one. And getting out is real easy. Once again, you just hit that button there and the seat will do its thing. You can power raise and lower the third row of seats with these controls available on the left and right side of the vehicle. Walking up and into the second row behind my own driving position. Lots of leg room here. Good sized foot pockets to slide my feet under. The thigh support's okay. I think I could use another 1/2 inch to 1 inch there of underleg support. I can pull up this lever and recline really far. Super far. But with it upright, the headroom it's good. Even more than the third row. Full-size adults, no problem in the second row. Your 10.1-inch display here is easy to use. And then you've got 2 cup holders with their own rubber molds. There is a Grand Wagoneer fascia on the back of the console. You get air vents here and here. 2 USB ports on either side of the Grand Wagoneer, and then an AC socket and DC socket. In the console, you've got 2 levels, like the front console. It slides back on the beautiful wood. So nice, delicious. And then lift up for a massive center console. Okay, this is me making a fist. It takes my whole forearm. It swallows my forearm in length. That is ridiculous. And you've got your leather armrests here. Man, it is beautiful in the Grand Wagoneer in first, second, or third rows. Your pano glass roof comes up to right about where your head would be, sitting upright. Cabin illumination here, leather wrapped grab handle there. Beautiful. Now let's see that trunk. So on the left, you've got a button you can press that would lock the vehicle. On the right, that's how you open it up. And you can adjust the height at which the tailgate raises by holding this button here. This button is also the one that will close it. You press it and then it waits a second and then will close. Got a couple hooks for grocery bags. Under this floor, you've got this carpeted mat. You lift this up and access, in this case, your crossbar storage. Wasn't kidding, they're under here. And it's a kind of a shallow cubby, but it is a body on frame SUV. I wouldn't expect much. You've got a couple tie down points here, in addition to a couple more just where the third row legs would be. Power raising and lowering of the third row. That's standard on the Grand Wagoneer. And it happens pretty quickly. It also folds the headrest as it does it. Second row, they go down flat. and I will list the cargo space with just behind the third row, with the third row down, and with the second row down. It's a lot. To power raise the third row, you just hit the buttons once and they come on up. You got a DC socket over here. And I didn't mention this, but when you have this lifted, if you don't have something weighting it down like a backpack, it will actually stay open for you so you don't have it slammed down on your hands. Utility, comfort, got it all in the Grand Wagoneer. And with that done, the only thing left before our drive is our big bottle test. Will it fit in the Grand Wagoneer? I think we're not gonna have a problem here. Cup holders first. Too big for that. Center console, cool box. Probably gonna fit easily, yes. And we probably have space for at least one more bottle, maybe more. In the door pocket, is there a space? I don't know. Door test. It stays. So we've got at least one spot there, another in the door. It passes the big bottle test. And with that, we got to fire it up. Oh, the 6.4 liter V8 coming to life. And before we hit the road, quickly, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please like, comment, and share it. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to get notified. And now without further ado, let's take it for a drive. Now, the Grand Wagoneer may not be a sports car, but that doesn't mean we can't drive it in anger. So we're going to go into sport drive mode here. And then when the light goes green, I'm putting my foot all the way down. Racing the scooter. I got the edge. And there it is. There's 60. Not too slow at that. Jeep estimates that the Grand Wagoneer will do 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds. And I believe them. That's because we have a 6.4 liter Hemi V8 engine under the hood. It's making 472 horsepower and 455 pound-feet of torque. That is best-in-class power. And a best-in-class soundtrack, I should say. And that's because the Cadillac Escalade, though it is using a 6.2 liter V8, which sounds very good, the other American full-size SUV, the Lincoln Navigator, is using that twin-turbo V6, and it just can't hack it with this sound. Ugh. Not a sports car. Very much not a sports car. Remind yourself of that, Miles. This is a Grand Wagoneer. But that engine is connected to an 8-speed automatic gearbox, sending power to all 4 wheels. And this 8-speed does a great job, smoothly working its way through the gears. We'll go back to auto mode now and try out a braking test before we do our turning radius test. So here we go. Brakes, how do they feel? I like the feel of that pedal. Very communicative. Really inspired confidence as I came to a stop there. And this turning radius is excellent for a massive SUV. That's a really tight turning radius. So the power is there, the braking performance is okay, but I like the feel of the pedal most of all. It never felt like it was giving out. And you've got 3 tons to pull down, so I mean, let's give it a bit of grace there for a longer stopping distance than a smaller, lighter weight SUV. And now that we're coasting, we're letting the air suspension system show us what it's got going on, the adaptive dampers, what they've got going on this, frankly, pretty glassy pavement surface. But it does have bumps, it does have grooves. And we'll keep in mind as we're doing this that this is a body-on-frame SUV. So, as you go over rough stuff, the air suspension flattens out the harshness, but the undulations are always kind of going to be there. It doesn't quite have the smoothness over rougher terrain that a unibody platform would. Like, you know, if you're thinking about the other three-row SUVs of the German manufacturers, the X7, the GLS, they're going to ride a little bit smoother over the bumps. But I think this air suspension does a great job of taking the edge off most of this stuff. And speaking of taking the edge off, oh, these seats. They are so comfortable. And the cabin is extremely well insulated. This is not an aerodynamic vehicle, but you'd think it just based on the fact that the noise levels getting into this cabin, you know, credit a little bit to those wheels and their designs with those pockets that filter out some of the road noise, but just it's a very well insulated cabin. And so the wind noise is minimal, the seats are comfortable, the air suspension doing its thing. The Grand Wagoneer is just such a cruiser. Just can't help but like vocalizing. I'm not going to let this engine off the hook entirely, though. I need to do some manual pulls, because that makes so much sense, right? I hit the gear button like forever ago. Okay, so this is almost pointless, the manual operation. The downshifts take so long. And the upshifts just whenever it wants to. All right, so, you know, just enjoy the engine noise. Don't expect this is going to do anything for you. Let's go back to sport for a moment, though. Let's see how it handles. Clearly, what this SUV was designed for. Oh, there's so much roll. So much roll. So much roll. Fighting me every step of the way. And we come out. All right, so here's the takeaway there. Did I think the SUV was going to tip over? No, I never thought that. Did it understeer like crazy? Yes. Did it have tons of roll? Yes. In an emergency situation, are you going to be okay? Yes. That's the takeaway from my stupid corner carving and the Grand Wagoneer. Let's settle on back down to auto, and we're going to try out some of the active safety features you have on hand in the Grand Waggy. So initiating adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist. Now this is not proposing itself as a steering assist system, so you can't just take your hands off the wheel for extended periods of time, but when it does find the lane markings, which we have, we'll see how it does with a mild curve. Now, I did notice with this vehicle that the moment it detects a curve, it throws up the yellow warning sign on the steering wheel. Because, again, this is a lane keep assist system that does a good job staying mostly in the center of the lane, but it is not a steering assist system. It's not attempting to be any level of autonomous driving. It will still be a benefit on your road trips, reducing some of that driver fatigue from extended periods of time behind the wheel. And adaptive cruise control works very well. What I like about this system is that actually the closest setting of following distance is not like a metric mile behind. I don't know what metric I'm saying right now. It's not a mile behind the car in front of you. And so if you deal with stop and go traffic, as I've experienced in a lot of these adaptive cruise control systems, where the following distance is so much that people just keep coming in front of you, this one probably won't let everyone do that, and I do appreciate that. Now, let's talk about the price. The Grand Wagoneer starts just under $90,000, a chunk of cashish. And for that, you are getting the 6.4 liter V8 instead of the regular Wagoneer's 5.7 liter V8. You're getting all the power, you're getting a lot of features. How I would equip my Grand Wagoneer is at the Series 2 level, so just under $97,000. This one, as tested, they went all bells and whistles. This is $110,000 right here. How does that stack up against its two main rivals, the Cadillac Escalade and the Lincoln Navigator? You can, as I've mentioned before, loop in some other 3-row SUVs, BMW X7, Mercedes-Benz GLS, vehicles like that, but they just don't have the sheer size and interior volume that you get in something like the Wagoneer, the Escalade, or the Navigator. So we'll kind of keep it to those three for right now. The Escalade starts at $77,000, more than $12,000 less than this Grand Wagoneer. It makes 420 horsepower, less power than this. From its V8, it gets to 60 in about 6.8 seconds, so quite a bit slower than this. The fuel economy is 16 combined for that one. I did not mention the fuel economy of the Grand Wagoneer, which is 13 city, 18 highway, and 15 combined. Not the best. A lot of weight, a lot of power, that's what you're gonna get. But yeah, 16 combined for that Cadillac Escalade. Then there's the Lincoln Navigator. That one starts at $76,000, so the least expensive of the set. It makes 440 horsepower for the 22 model year. It gets to 60 in a very quick 5.2 seconds, says Car and Driver, and its fuel economy is excellent at 18 combined mpg, excellent for its size and weight. Which would I choose? Well, here's the thing. The Cadillac Escalade just has this presence and this esteem to the badge that the Grand Wagoneer doesn't have. Despite its history, which is phenomenal, the Cadillac Escalade has really just established itself as this almost segment-busting, American-made luxury SUV, and it looks super cool. The interior is very nice on the new Escalade. I don't think it's quite as well insulated as this Grand Wagoneer. The ride quality is probably just as good. The space is almost as good as the Grand Wagoneer. That's a really good pick, the Cadillac Escalade in this segment. And you might look at the starting figure and go, oh my gosh, and it's so much less expensive. But the last Escalade I drove, the Platinum 4-wheel drive, was about as expensive as this was, $110,000. And so what that tells me is the Grand Wagoneer is looping in a lot of great standard features for its near $90,000 starting figure, and then its option packages, its tiers above that, are not as highly priced as the Escalade. Navigator is kind of guilty of the same thing. The last Navigator Black Label I drove, similarly equipped to this vehicle, was $106,000. So its $76,000 starting figure is somewhat misleading. I'm gonna say this. If you are kind of trapped in the $80,000 starting figure territory, or you really value curb appeal, go get the Escalade. The Escalade is an awesome SUV. It looks amazing. The features are great. It's just, I don't think, has the same luxury detail that this Grand Wagoneer is bringing. This is bringing some of the best feeling leather I've ever felt. Beautiful wood, all these nice details. This is the nicest interior in the segment, if you ask me. It rides well. It's going to be capable off-road, as are the Navigator and Escalade. I don't think they're going to be quite as capable as the Wagoneer, but they both have four-wheel drive system with low ranges. They're going to be capable off-road. The Wagoneer just has this interior look and feel that I think is just leading the segment right now. And so if you aren't trapped in the $80,000 territory, if you have $100,000 to spend on a 3-row SUV, and interior is most important to you, man, the Grand Wagoneer is absolutely bringing it. The exterior is just a little strange to me, and that's my only misgiving about this vehicle. Otherwise, I'm a huge proponent of it. They've done an incredible job, and they brought back the Wagoneer name in a very big way. This is modern excellence from a classic nameplate. I hope you guys have enjoyed this in-depth review. Please like, comment, and share the video. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell to get notified, and I will see you again next time. Hemi!